For the first time in almost 2 years, Israeli and Palestinian leaders sat down for face-to-face peace talks. Officials from the United States, which hosted the discussion, say the talks are off to a good start, but the two sides are still far apart on many issues. Wood Johnson has more now from Washington.
Secretary of State Hillary Clinton moderated a fresh round of face-to-face discussions between Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas.
You are the leaders who can make this long-cherished dream a reality.
Both leaders hope they can strike a deal within a year to create two separate states. They've agreed to meet again in 2 weeks in the Middle East. But the two are still far apart on the issues.
And we call on the Israeli government to move forward with its commitment to end all settlement activities and completely lift the embargo over the Gaza Strip.
Achieving security is a must. Security is the foundation of peace. Without it, peace will unravel. With it, peace can be stable.
U.S. mediators wouldn't say whether those issues were brought up Thursday, but everyone involved knows they'll have to be addressed before this conflict can come to an end. Whit Johnson, CBS News, the State Department.
Meanwhile, a military commander for Hamas rejected the talks altogether and is threatening more attacks against Israel. Joining us now with more CBS News foreign affairs analyst Pamela Falk. Pamela, good morning to you.
Good morning.
So it seems like, it's great to have you. So it seems like even if there is a peace deal that's reached, there's still going to be violence. How do you get around that?
Well, that's the most difficult part of the negotiation. As you mentioned, they are off to a good start, but these are negotiations between Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and Palestinian Authority leader President Mahmoud Abbas. What's left out in the picture is Hamas and the leadership from Gaza. Now, that is because they have chosen not to negotiate, and Israel's position is you have to let the Palestinians decide who will negotiate for Palestine. But that is the biggest problem. Right now, the focus is on trying to get an agreement with at least the Fatah leadership of Abbas. And so that's the tough part. But a lot of things have changed, and it may very well be a good time for these negotiations.
Now, these peace talks have been going on for decades. What makes this round with President Obama any different than the other times?
Well, there's several things that have changed. Number one is the Israeli ambassador to the UN told me last week she does see, and I think she's right on it, to see a chemistry between Netanyahu and Obama, and I think that's an interesting point. There were tensions, but they both have an interest in making this happen. The second is the Palestinian Authority situation has in fact gotten worse in the Palestinian life and the economics of it. The third is that there is this Iran factor, and that is Iran's moving closer to having some kind of nuclear capacity, and that puts pressure on Israel. And the final thing is the Arab world has become more supportive of some kind of a peace deal, a two-state solution. And that is why you saw the first day of the negotiations, the dinner before, with the Egyptian president and the king of Jordan. And so that they've also engaged. President Obama made a phone call to the king of Saudi Arabia and to the president of France. They're trying to engage the international community, and that's changed. And I think it's a better chance now than there's ever been.
President Abbas and Prime Minister Netanyahu both have a divided public at home. So let's say that a peace agreement is reached. Will we even see change, even if they do come up with something in Washington?
Yes, I think they can. And they've already agreed to a second round in Egypt in 2 weeks, which is progress. In Sharm el-Sheikh is likely to be the next meeting in September 14th or 15th. Yes, we will see change because what they're looking to do is have two states, a Palestinian state. Now, this may exclude Hamas at this point, but the hope would be the balance of power changes. And so it may be that they make this agreement with Abbas and then Hamas would come in. But even if they just make it with the West Bank, it would be two states and the state that also recognizes Israel. So that is progress. The final status issues that you've heard about, which are the status of Jerusalem, there's been progress already. The Israeli government has said they will accept some kind of a division of East Jerusalem and West Jerusalem. The settlement freeze is still in effect, and we'll see by the end of the month if it continues. And the status of refugees is one of the other very tough issues. I think it's a legacy issue, both for Netanyahu, who is a hawk, and so it's easier to come to negotiations from his side, and for President Obama. And another interesting political aside is it is one for Secretary of State Hillary Clinton. She really wants this to happen, which is interesting, don't you think?
We were talking, it is, and we talked just before this interview just about how long this has been going on. Abbas and Netanyahu, right. Are these the men that are going to get this done, or will it be another generation? Will it be another time?
No, I believe that this is the time. They have a one-year deadline, which always has two sides to it. It could fail, but they're staking their political careers in a lot of ways on it, and I think it can work because of all the changes. And I think it's like in history. That's what we were talking about. There was a moment when China did open up. There was Nixon and China, and there was Reagan and the Soviet Union. And I think people think it can happen because these talks have been unhinged so many times. But I think there's much more commitment to it right now.
It seems like an all or nothing deal. We'll
yeah, maybe too optimistic, but
we'll have to see. We'll have to see how the whole thing plays out.
We'll follow up.
Pamela Falk, CBS News Foreign Affairs Analyst. We appreciate you stopping by this morning. Thank you.
Terrell, good to be here.